Hello Admirals and welcome back to my channel where I talk to you about Battlefleet Gothic, the space fleet game based in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. I have done a couple of showcase videos for the various fleets so far on this channel. I have done Chaos with the Slaanesh fleet, I've done an Imperial fleet with my Ironclad fleet, and I've done a Space Marine fleet with the Howling Griffins. So I thought it was about time to showcase a Xenos fleet this time. And we're going to go with everyone's most hated fleet in the game. One that raises hackles and chills down the spine from a lot of admirals. I'm going to showcase my very first Necron fleet for you. Yeah, so let's just get into it and check it out. So here we go, Admirals. This is my original Necron fleet with just a couple of additions to it. I'll go into it in a little bit. So firstly, this fleet is predominantly metal with a couple of extras, but these are original ships from the original Games Workshop line that you could get back in the day with some conversions and things like that included. But essentially, this all kind of together comes to about, depending on what you count this as, about 4,000 points. So I've got a good mix of ships to be able to kind of create a pretty solid 1,500 point list, plenty to work with and things like that. So this consists of, there are 9 dirges I think in here, 10 jackals, 2 shrouds, the 2 little light cruisers here. This is one of the light cruisers, which is one of the coolest looking miniatures in the game, I think, to be perfectly honest. And then we've got 5 scythes. These were originally the scythes with I put a little conversion on it there. And then we have the original tomb ship here. This is the original battleship. Probably one of the best, if not the best, ship in the game. It is quite a powerful ship, really, really difficult to kill, quite frankly. It is got amazing weapons. It's just a fantastic battleship, and absolutely terrifying to face on the battle. And then I've got a couple of additions here. So in the lore for Necrons, there are things, different weapons and things like that, but there's also things like the world engine and things like that. So this is my count as world engine, which one day I will write rules for, or I'll get someone better than me to write in the community, I think. So also a Necron planet, it can act as terrain. And then originally I was going to use this as kind of a world engine, but this kind of now doubles as a second tomb ship to me. So yeah, this was a 3D print that I could get back in the day on Shapeways. That's where it comes from, with just the addition of an old school Necron tube as the gun. And this actually comes, this little flamey sort of stuff comes from a Necron kit, one of the Catans. It comes in that kit. I think it's like in the Necron Monolith Triarch or something like that ones that is added in, and I thought it just adds a really cool, and it's a bit of a different looking tomb ship, essentially, is kind of what it is. So plenty of mixture of originals in here with a few conversions, just a couple of added extra bits. I've got like extra bits of each of these. I could probably make another scythe or a different looking scythe. Yeah, and so it's a really good fleet, and as per my original starter fleet lists video that you can check out, there's some really good options in this fleet. This is incredibly fast, it's incredibly powerful. A lot of people freak out against Necrons. They don't have ordnance, which is a major sticking point for them, so you can overwhelm them in that way. They kind of wreck Eldar, right? They do. But they do have weaknesses. They're not the perfect fleet, and everyone kind of is frightened of them, but they're certainly not. There are ways definitely to beat them, and especially depending on the scenarios you're playing, will really kind of change up how these guys, how these fleets will play against and for. I have to admit, while I really, really love the Shroud as a ship, it's a liability in this fleet because it only has 4 hit points. And because of the nature of the rules for the Necrons, they can easily, if you target one of these, you could easily get 100 or even sometimes 200 or even 400 times its points value, which this guy comes in at 155 points. So suddenly killing one of these outright and hulking it and everything like that could yield quite a significant victory point boon for you. So in the grand scheme of things, if you're a Necron player, I don't recommend this ship if you want to play kind of competitively. It's better, I think, to take more dirges or jackals if I'm being perfectly honest. So yeah, this is the fleet. And I thought I'd go into a little bit of lore on it. It is coloured in very much the kind of standard Necron colours, the green and silver and gold. I do have another Necron fleet that's completely different, and I do have additional Necron 3D printed models that can act as proxy for a different Necron fleet, with our paint probably completely different as well. But this fleet is I've made a lore on it that you can read about on my Port Invictus site, but it's the Tutatamun Dynasty. They've awoken on a planet called Cryptus, designated Cryptus by the Tobidius sector, found by the Admech. They originally were like mining in that, and then they've stumbled upon them. You know the story; it's very typical for the Necrons to suddenly be found, their tomb world, and they've been slow to awake because their leader is very, very damaged. So the Triarchs, I want to call them the Triarchs, or the next run of the royalty down in Necron have been previously trying to fix their leader, their Overlord, to try and get them back and running. So it's been a bit slow to open up the tomb world. But with the advent of this ship coming into the play, I kind of built this. This came like this later beyond these. They kind of have broken a bit more, and they've released a new weapon on the Tobidius sector, destroying some planets and all that sort of stuff. And then this was the precursor to then the World Engine turning up. Which, if you don't know about the World Engine in the lore, it essentially is a Necron planet roaming around doing, and it took a whole Space Marine chapter and a fleet, as well as it sailing a battle barge into the actual World Engine to try and then disgorge a whole chapter of Space Marines onto the planet to try and stop it from causing havoc. That is in the lore. So a World Engine is real. It's a real lore piece, and I wanted it part of the fleet. So I'm really pleased that this is a big 3D model print that was done. It's all resin. That I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. That I can act. And one day I will, like I said, do a rules for the game. But they have a particular interest in Admech. They're curious as to know how the Imperium and, well, really humans have actually managed to take over the galaxy in 40,000 years, essentially. They're quite curious about that. So where they can, they will try and capture some Admech specifically. They want to know about them and what they know. So that's kind of the lore behind them. They're slowly waking up and causing havoc in my sector. So there might be more of these ships eventually popping up in my sector at some point. Yeah, so that's the lore, Admirals. I hope you enjoy the Necron Fleet. It is a really cool fleet. It looks really cool. Some people call them flying croissants. I personally have always really liked it. Why won't you focus? Come on. I've always personally liked them, and I do but I do understand the resemblance to flying croissants, quite frankly. So yeah, maybe I should just paint some as croissants. Someone must have done that in the community at some point. But there you go, Admirals. That's my Necron fleet. So like I said, this is about 4,000 points. You certainly not need that amount to field a Necron fleet. And you can check out the starter video for a sort of a basic sort of starter fleet for these guys in my other videos. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the Necron fleet. Let me know in the comments what fleet you'd like to see next. There you have it, Admirals. My Necron fleet made predominantly out of original miniatures. Just a couple of 3D prints thrown in that are completely different, which I really like. I really enjoyed adding them to the fleet and adding them to the lore. You can read up more about their fleet on my website. What other fleets would you like to see? Keep up with the Xenos, maybe, I think, a little bit, and do a little bit more showcasing of them, I think. Certainly have started off pretty original fleets strong, so maybe a completely unusual fleet for the next one. But if you have any suggestions, let me in the comments. As ever, thank you very much for watching Admirals. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the Necron fleet, and I'll see you in the next video.